Record-ology.
Through the years, RCA Victor has built a tradition of continually introducing new ideas and products to bring new thrills and pleasures to millions in home entertainment. In keeping with that tradition, RCA Victor now offers a completely new development for new listening enjoyment with tape. Watch this. How long do you think it takes the average person to take off one tape and thread in a new one? 2 2/5 seconds? 32 1/5? Or 1 minute and 10 seconds? Let's find out. Ready, set, go. 2 2/5 seconds exactly. How did she do it? Here's how. The new RCA Victor conceived, developed, and designed tape cartridge for easy magazine loading to make playing a tape as simple as or even easier than playing a record.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, today this is going to be something you may have never seen before. Unless you watch Tecmo, then you have seen it. This is a really cool failed format, a unique thing. This is the RCA Sound Tape recorder. Now, yes, I'm aware, Tecmo did do a very good video about this technology. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on mine, but unlike him, I have the rare stereo version. So his was mono, mine is stereo. They're harder to find, and this thing is in immaculate cosmetic condition. Let's just take a gander here. We have a mono speaker behind this grill. It is stereo, so how does that work? I'll show you in a minute. It's got this awesome spring-loaded handle and this golden inlay here with the RCA tape recorder, total sound stereo. Now this technology came out in the late 50s and was pretty much gone by the late 60s. It just couldn't compete with a compact cassette. And you may be saying, well, what's the difference? I'll show you in a minute. So on the side here, you'll notice that the mono machines that you see on Tecmo's video or a lot of other videos will have this larger opening on this. By the way, this is a plastic construction. They made like wooden console units, but these portables are a little bit more common. But anyway, even though the mono ones only have one jack in these holes, they have the wide opening. But this one, being stereo, has left and right, which is cool. On and off and volume is there. A speaker on and off switch, I'll show you about that in a minute. Around, but it kind of looks like a small pet carrier. You know what I mean? A little vent in the back there. This thing is heavy. There's a gold tone metal. By the way, look at this gold tone finish throughout. Latch right there. You kind of squeeze it to open it. And on the bottom here, we have plastic molded feet, more ventilation. And on top here, look at the logo. Look how clean that looks. Just pristine. And that trim. This thing is in immaculate condition. And what's really weird, it smells just like my grandma's house growing up. One of my grandma's house smelled just like this. It's the weirdest thing. I have no explanation for it. You'll see this very common of the era plastic molding to allow it to sit in either this position or in that position. There is a speaker hole there. Why? How can there be another speaker hole? How does that work? Well, being that this is the stereo version, you need 2 speakers. So let's open it up though. This thing is so cool. Again, pretty typical with older equipment. It has this hinged lid that just comes off like that. We'll look at this in a minute. It's an interesting piece of the puzzle. But look at this, you guys. How gorgeous is that? From a design aesthetic alone, just beautiful. Gold tone, metal plated, control plate there. There's the tape cartridge. We'll talk about that in a minute. A very snappy, tight switch for the record, for the play, the stop, rewind. There's also controls down here for stereo or monophonic, track 1A or 1A or B, 2A or B, and this volume level. This is super cool. We need to look at that in just a minute. But it's heavy. I'm going to set it down. So bear with me here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see as I talk through this. Now up here you've got the tape counter, and up here you've got a speed select. It is selectable between 3.5 inches and 1 7/8 inches per second. So you may be saying, why does this exist? And how is that just a regular audio cassette tape? It's not. And for size comparison, there's a compact cassette. So this thing is a lot bigger. Whereas this tape uses 1/8-inch tape, the RCA Sound Tape system uses 1/4-inch tape, just like a reel-to-reel tape recorder. In fact, that was the idea. They designed this so that people could have the quality of 1/4-inch magnetic tape, which is the true audiophile format, much more so than records, and very expensive. You get into these reel-to-reel machines, you're looking, thousands of dollars easily. Although you could spend that in, record players too, granted. But yeah, this is typical 1/4-inch tape with the same track layout as a reel-to-reel. However, it's in a cartridge. So the idea was that, for children, families, people that didn't want to thread tape, they could have that same quality on a compact machine and in a cartridge that didn't require you to touch the tape. It bears striking resemblance to its great-grandson, the Philips compact cassette, and I'm not going to go into details of how or why, but it has the similar basic principle. You'll see this notch back here. There's a spring-loaded triangular metal plate that acts as a spring-loaded brake so that the tape doesn't unspool when it's out of the machine. Corresponds down here, zooming in again, with this metal post. That's the record protect notch sensor. By the way, you can knock out these holes just like a compact cassette. But anyway, when you stick this down in, it unstops that brake, and then it just goes into position down there. And it's very similar to a regular compact cassette player in that regard. So we're going to take it out. It's got two, oops, you can't see what I'm doing. It's got two take-up reels right here. It is capstan driven, just like a compact cassette player or higher-end reel-to-reel. And there's a little pin that sticks out right here, and that pin, when it rotates, finds the nearest sprocket right here, and it moves the take-up reel. But it is driven by this guy down here. So you've got a pinch roller, and you've got a capstan, and that's what drives it. I'm going to bring this up a little closer here so you can see kind of how this is laid out a little bit there. You've got a record head, a play head. They have beautiful RCA branding on them, pressure pads. Everything is in beautiful and immaculate cosmetic condition. By the way, on the back there's the power jack. And right here, this is the Model 3YD11. That is not a date code. Unfortunately, this isn't a late 50s model. This is a little bit older, or a little bit more recent. This is an early 60s. Various date codes on the inside. You may be saying, inside? Yes, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Various date codes point to 1962 production date. But again, this thing is just so beautiful. It is so awesome. So that's the basic premise of it. This is a stereo unit. By the way, you could connect this to your RCA console player and have it interact with your console, your RCA console, as just a standalone tape, or not a standalone, a connected tape machine. But it's designed to be a portable unit. It is portable. So what's weird about this is it uses a special hybrid approach for the stereo playback. So this is a 3-tube unit. It uses tubes. Takes a minute to warm up, but it's got that warm tube sound or valve sound for my friends in the UK. But how do you get stereo? Well, you need another speaker. As I said, you got a mono here, and then this one, there's your other speaker. So you get your left to right, these two unmatching pieces, and you connect them. What's weird and why it's hybrid is this uses a transistor, from what I've been told. So transistor, tube, I can't explain why they did it that way. There's a balance knob here. Under this metal panel, you've got some cords. I'm not going to unwrap them all, but this is the connection for this speaker. This is one of the two microphones. These are really cool. I thought these were little satellite speakers when I first got it, and then I realized speaker technology just wasn't there. I mean, you're not going to have a speaker that small, in 1962. Somebody's going to be like, yeah, you can. But anyway, these are the microphones. Why two? Well, it's stereo. So you can create your own stereophonic recordings. And they got long leads on here. So isn't this cool? You could place these, wide apart and pick up, a band, a choir, or just, you know, even experiment with left to right stereo imaging. Really cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. And then we have here, this is the proprietary connection to connect it to your RCA console stereo system. And in here somewhere is a power cord. It fell out. Even the power cord is cool, guys. Check it out. I love that. Look at that plug. Isn't that neat? It says RCA. There it is. Had it upside down. Super cool. And that plugs into the back. So, for our purposes, we don't need those connections today. We're just going to use this. And it's got this interesting, it looks like a big rubber band. This is actually, and maybe it was rubber at one point, but now it's sort of a hardened rubberish plastic. But pretty forward-thinking stuff there. I mean, you see cables tied down like that these days, but it's not something I would associate with older equipment as much. So I'm going to plug it in and give it a second to warm up. Power switch is the volume knob, like I said before, so let's power it up. And I'm going to tell you right now, it makes sound, but the tape doesn't spin. So you know what that means? It means a belt. This thing needs a belt. I opened it up last night, couldn't wait till today to find out, and sure enough, the darn thing just needs a belt. It's a 16-inch tubular belt that's going to need to be ordered. So as you can see, it's got this awesome sort of fluorescent light here. That's actually a tube lying on its side right there. That is the microphone level control. And I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get it to register a level. So I'm going to take one of the microphones, plug it into the mic input, and see if we can get a level without having to do anything else. Let's see. Testing 1, 2, 3. Test. Look at that. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1965, you guys. Tell me that's not the coolest thing ever. Super cool. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's just talking into the microphone like that. Super, super neat. So I wish the belt worked on this. It's going to take some time to get that replaced. But do not despair. Got you covered. I'm going to show you some pictures. Wow, that thing is in there tight. Good Lord. All right, I'm going to show you some pictures under the hood and tell you what I found out. It's really a masterwork of engineering. Solid metal. It's built like a tank. But it has two belts. One of them's in perfect condition, and the other one was completely destroyed. I cleaned it all out, and it's pretty common for that to happen. It happened to tech moans too. Replacing the belt isn't too hard. I have to take apart a few brackets and things. But let's look at this now, and then we're going to do a sound test of one that Fardemark has. So we're going to take a look at his so you guys can hear what it sounds like, and we'll call it a day. So check this out. And the plastic cover comes off with just one screw right in the center. You can see sort of the plinth or backing plate here. We still need to get deeper. So I have the 4 screws come off to remove this. And then underneath, you can see the flywheel there, which aligns perfectly with the capstan. That's because that flywheel drives the capstan. The flywheel's connected to the motor. There are a couple of pulleys there, and everything's weighted. Everything is super heavy. You can see some of the tubes or valves here, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, so on the tape recorder here, I have it hooked up to the amplifier here. This magnetic head is very interesting. The impedance on these heads back on these older machines are completely different from modern cassette tape heads. It's not a standard line level output. They actually have the same impedance as a magnetic phono cartridge. So to be able to plug them into an amplifier, right here I have a preamp here with a ground cable. There will be still a little bit of hum, but that's just because of the magnetic field and the tube amplifier. All these machines, even the one that you have, will still have slight hum. It was just a flaw that all these machines had. Not as noticeable with its built-in speaker, but if you want to hear true stereo, you will need to plug it into a phono amp, into an input, or just a phono input with the grounding connector. Otherwise, it's not going to work properly. So here's a demo. This one, you have to start it. You sometimes have to hit it a second time. But it's amazing for its original belt that it still runs. But it's full stereo, left and right. Sounds incredible on this amplifier. But you can see in the back here, There are the two, there's the ground wire and the two outputs. Directly from the head, bypassing the amplifier completely. So it's like a true tape deck this way. There's a quick demo. And to rewind on this does rewind with the audio intact, so you actually have to turn the volume down, otherwise you'll get this. So that's one flaw. This one right here is also another thing, is these tapes get kind of they get kind of friction clutched on the inside, like the plastic rubs against the tape. So to rewind, sometimes you have to jiggle it a little bit. Like it might do that. You just give it a jiggle, and then it goes fast. But that's with all these machines. The tapes get kind of gummy in there. But other than that, it's a really cool format and has excellent sound quality.
Subscribe to Record-ology for awesome videos about vinyl, retro tech, and more. And click on that like button or suffer the consequences.
Okay, guys, and that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up, share this out, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we will see you tomorrow.